Peace, family. How you doing? It's Mr. R2 here at Consistency is Currency, your morning podcast of choice. I don't like how this mic sound. Transparent moment. I don't like how the mic sound. It sounds like poo to me. But anyway, hopefully it doesn't sound that way to you. But if it does, leave me a comment. I'll fix it next time. 'Cause it sound good in the beginning, like rehearsal, checking the mics and stuff like that. It sounded good, but right now I really don't like how it sounds. But how does it sound to you? Those that are listening live right now, on Facebook Live, how does the mic sound? Does it sound okay? That's a question. Can I get a response to the question? Because I want to make sure that I'm not speaking to myself. Y'all know how technology works. Sometimes technology may make you feel like it's working until someone else tell you that it does not. So that's my question. How does it sound? Does it sound clear? Does it sound muffled? Because I don't know. I can hear myself, but I don't hear myself from your perspective. So hopefully the people that are watching right now will actually let me know. But if not, hey, I'll keep talking until somebody say I can't hear you. But anyway, I'll leave that alone. Just let me know. All right. So yeah, today is Monday. May came really fast. May came really, really, really fast. Like April, it was just my birthday. Like for real, like April 6th. It was just my birthday. And now all of a sudden it's May. Is the 2nd of May. So for all my May babies out there that your birthday was yesterday and the people that their birthday is today, happy born day to you and those who are coming up in the month of May. This is the beginning of your month. You can celebrate your birthday the entire month if you want to. If you're the type of person that says my birthday is all month, I'll ride with you always. So I want to thank everybody that's here right now watching from the Facebook land, those that may be watching from the YouTube perspective, and those that are listening on the replay on the podcast, whether you're listening on iHeartRadio, you may be listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Anchor Podcasts, or even on the Facebook podcast. I appreciate you for listening always and a day. So I'll go ahead and start May out. I'm gonna go ahead and give the shouts out to the individuals that listen from the podcast. So I'm going to especially the international listeners. So I'm gonna give my international listeners some love, even though my domestic listeners, you watch me, so I give you some face to face love. So I'm gonna give my international members some podcast love and just say thank you to you. All right. So India, thank you. Italy, Germany, Nigeria, Puerto Rico, United Kingdom, Indonesia, thank you. South Korea, thank you. Singapore, thank you. South Africa, thank you. Russia, Pakistan, Austria, Kenya, thank you. Morocco, Mexico, thank you. New Zealand, Ireland, thank you. Turkey, thank you. Netherlands, thank you. Algeria, thank you. Slovenia, thank you. Namibia, thank you. Dominican Republic, thank you. Austria, thank you. France, that's a new one. Thank you. And the Virgin Islands, that's a new one too. Thank you. And I appreciate you 100% for wanting to be here on the podcast space. So I thank you, everyone that's listening from wherever you are. So, all right, so let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about in the chaos. So I was listening to another podcast. No, I was watching the video. I'll correct that. I was watching the video and there was a line that came out and just it stuck out to me because he said in chaos, and I took in chaos and it resonated with me. This was like, what's today? Monday. I think this was like Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And I heard it and it stuck with me. I was like, ooh, I'm going to do something about this because there's a lot of people that, even myself, I don't exempt myself from anything that I say. I'm accountable for the things that I say just as well as listeners are accountable in how they receive the things that they receive and how they receive it. So in the chaos, he said, in the chaos is opportunity. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, how many other people see it that way? And how many other people have ever thought about it, from that perspective? Some of us may have, and there are some of us that may not. Or some of us were just so consumed by chaos and what chaos is, and how chaos may have controlled, or how chaos may have totally annihilated, you know, our lives, and how we think and what we do and how we perceive things and how we perceive people. Chaos have changed the way we see things, because there are lessons in chaos. So let's go ahead and bring it up, so we can talk about it just a little bit. Talk about it just a little bit. So, in the chaos, and before I start, I just want to make sure that we understand that chaos in life is really an essential lesson, because sometimes chaos can even be a part of our growth, and chaos can also be the development of how we think. It could be the new development of having a higher conscious about things when things happen. And our lives often sometimes seem chaotic, or we may be in that state of chaos because it's the core of our existence. Just like when they say the universe was created out of chaos, friction. It's the same thing with labor, childbearing. When women have babies, whether it is through a cesarean or through natural birth, that is life being birthed out of chaos. Now, it's controlled chaos. We're going to get into that, but life is still being birthed out of chaos. It still forms out of chaos. It is our core existence. And without chaos, change won't actually take place, because, again, there would have never been life without chaos. I mean, I'm just looking at it from a natural perspective. Um, but it's how we deal with it. Chaos could be uh very uncomfortable. I can speak for me. I can't speak for you. Uh, Chaos can be very uncomfortable. Chaos can also change the way we see things. Chaos is like a version of resistance. How do you resist this thing? And because you're resisting this thing, it's going to seem very uncomfortable before it actually becomes like you're in alignment with the direction that you're going. Because when you begin to learn and actually embrace it, it could actually probably be one of the best lessons that you can ever learn. Now, it'll suck. Now, I'll be transparent about that. That chaotic lesson could be terrible, but it's how we receive it. So let's go into the definition of chaos. The definition of chaos, it states that chaos is the state of utter confusion. It says it. I mean, it says it right there. It is a state of utter confusion. That's what they're saying that chaos is. But as you see, the inversion on this one is white over red. Chaos is a state of. It is a state of. Now I'm going to show you what state of means, because there is a lesson that I want you to receive about chaos. It says it is a state of utter confusion. It is a state of. What is a state of? A state of is a particular condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. And the inversion of this is white over red. It is the particular condition that someone is in. Well, let me flip that. It's red over white. It is something as in a specific time. That means if it is saying that it is a state of utter confusion, that means your chaos won't last always. That is a particular situation or a particular condition that you are in at this time, or you were in at that moment. So my question is right now, for those that have came out of the chaotic situation, or for those that came out of the chaos, what lessons did you learn? What lessons did you learn when you have grown out of the state of chaos that you were in? What did you learn about you? What did you learn about how you uh how you develop after being in that particular condition or in that particular situation? You're just like, grandma and the song says, trouble don't last always. Chaos doesn't last always, because chaos is at a specific time or a particular time. So you may be in a chaotic situation, or you may be dealing with a lot of chaos in your life, or you may have ran into chaos, but it's what you do after you understand that this is not my forever. Chaos is not mine forever. The situation I found myself in is not mine forever. So I want you to say, if you're in that particular situation, or if you have dealt with chaos, say it right now. This is not my forever. I think saying that this is not my forever could empower you to push yourself. It could empower you to get more, because you understand more about chaos, because it is a state of, that means it is something that is happening now, that is only specific to this now. Because when I understand that this is just for the moment, that means I know that I am stronger than I seem right now, because I may feel like I'm not feeling so strong right now. I may feel like I'm in a dark place. I may feel like everything that I've tried just haven't worked yet. Everything that I've been trying to figure out, I've been hitting walls consistently. But understand that it is a state that you're in. It is not a forever that you're in. It is just a state. It is a particular specific time that you're in right now. So now let's talk about controlled chaos. This is where you look chaos in the face and you say, not today, not today. Controlled chaos, it says that it is something that looks out of control, but which functions according to unseen rules or organization. And the contrast on this is white over red. Something that looks out of control, but which functions according to who? According to how you see it, according to how you receive it, according to how you deal with it. Because if the state of is a particular time, according to how you deal with it in that time, according to how you deal with it in that motion, according to how you deal with that memory at that particular moment. What do you do when you hit that wall? So something that looks out of control, but which functions accordingly. So what's the R2 definition of controlled chaos? The R2 definition of controlled chaos is a high state of functioning when things look out of control. How many of you can how many of you resonate with this? So what I did, I took chaos and I took controlled chaos and I put it in a relevant timeline. Again, chaos is a time. So I put it in a timeline that would allow you to see it from a functioning state of functioning point of view. Because R2's definition of controlled chaos is a high state of functioning when things look out of control. How do you see things? How do you deal with it? How do you acknowledge it? Because in order for chaos to be called chaos, that means you saw something. You viewed it from a certain perspective. There was some sort of emotional ties to it that you formulated this particular situation and called it chaos. Chaos is the name that you give it. I don't care what somebody else say about your situation. Chaos is not chaotic until you viewed it as chaos. Somebody else might see it. They're like, oh man, it looks like you got a lot going on. Like, no, I got it. I got it. It may look like chaos to you, but it's very controlled over here. It's very controlled. So when you are not looking at some outside influencers that will tell you your situation is chaotic, that's when you say, like, nah, partner, I got this. I operate at a high state of functioning. When things are not going my way, when things look like everything has failed to my left and to my right, I stand firm on the ground that I stand on because I operate at a high state of functioning. Because remember, state of is a particular condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. So in that specific time and motion, I operate at a high state of. That means I see it different. If you say I operate at a high state of functioning, that means you know what to do when the rubber hits the pavement. You know what to do when it's time for you to move out. You know what to do when it's time for you to execute. You know what to do when you hit that wall, and that experience taught you that turning that corner, there is a wall. So I understand before I turn this corner, my life lessons will let me know that I may need to move like 3 more steps to the right before I turn left, because there is a wall as soon as you make that 90-degree pivot. Those are the lessons that you learn when you operate at a high state of functioning in controlled chaos. So now there's 4 things that I want you to look at when you're dealing with in the chaos. You need to align your focus, not someone else's focus, because you may have people that be focusing on you. They focus on the bad things that they think or they thought about you, or bad things, or they waiting for your downfall. So they're going to focus on all that stuff. That's not your focus. Your focus is your high state of functioning. You can't operate at a higher state, or you can't operate at a higher frequency, or you can't operate at a higher octane when you lose focus. That means it's like an airplane. An airplane is controlled chaos. Riding a bike is controlled chaos. Child labor is controlled chaos. Some of y'all chewing gum and walking is a controlled chaos. But when you align yourself with your focus, that means that you are operating at a high state, and there is nothing should knock you off because you're aligned with your focus. I'm not moved by the outside conditions. I'm not moved by what someone says. I'm not moved by someone's opinion of what I should do. Now, I may take your recommendation, but just know and understand at the end of the day, I am uh well enough to make my decision, but I appreciate your recommendation. That's when you get to the point to when you're really operating at a high state of functioning, align with your focus. And the second thing that I want you to do is to ensure that you take time to re-energize your mind. Now, a mentor of mine, Dr. Omar, she'll say it all the time. You need to tap in, or you need to replug, you need to recharge. Because when you're in a chaotic situation, you're going to have some time to step back and take time to re-energize your mind, because you're going to have to come back. It's like that resilience, having the ability to bounce back from adversity, because on your way back, you're going to have to re-energize your mind, because that means that you had a level of energy that's real. You had a level of energy that during the chaos and during the storms and the wind, you actually was uh tapped out because your mind takes you in so many different ways. I've been there. I've done that. I felt what it felt like to feel like there is nothing else in you because you were in a situation that you couldn't control, that you may feel that that's chaos. But take the time to recharge your mind. Take that time, because when you do it, it's going to really put you in a position to begin to learn and to even actually grow. And when you learn and grow, that's when you say, you know what? I know what I want, and that's not it. And because I know what I want, I know that that is not the direction that I'm supposed to be going in at all. So that's that chaos that we want to move away from. And then after you do that, you need to establish game changing behaviors, not behaviors from someone else or someone else's influence, but behaviors that you know that you should be creating. Like consistency is a behavior that is produced by a repetition, doing it over and over again. So establish game changing behaviors, because in chaos, you have to understand and figure out, what do you do when this happens? Because remember, it said the state of, so that means because it doesn't last always, that means what do you do when it happens again? What behaviors did you establish when you feel that chaos is surrounding you? How do you execute? After you've recharged, what new behaviors have you established? Because in order to recharge, that means that there is something that is within inside of you that you're either updating or you're no longer doing, and now you're establishing new behaviors. And that's really going to take you and put you in a position to really work out your goals. Because when you begin to let go of those entrenching positions that you may find yourself, you really gain a whole new perspective on life, and you gain a whole new perspective on how you approach things. Because when you remove the doubt and you remove those doubtful thoughts that you're having inside of your mind, you begin to pledge new ways of doing things. And that's when you create that new change of behavior. And when you're done with all that, just go ahead and remind yourself who you are. That's when you stand up with your chest poked out. Have you ever stood there in the mirror with your chest poked out and said, I got this? Have you ever sat in a car during a hard situation and you got to look at yourself and talk to yourself and say, I got this? Remind yourself who you are. I got this. This is mine. This is my business. This is my life. These are my finances. And because I know that this won't last always, I'm going to remind you who I am today by my actions. And you're going to begin to get yourself pumped up. Why? Because you have already just been recharged. You have already created a new way of doing things. You've created new behaviors. You develop a new system, because as you grow, you will become more secure in your decision making process, because you're learning new behaviors within yourself. And then you got to give yourself permission to experience the feel. Experience the feel. Experience what it felt like when you were in that particular situation. When you experience the feel, that means it allows you to identify red flags, because I don't want to feel like this again. So I understand when I see this on site, there is a red flag, because I don't want to feel like this again, because I've experienced the feel. Experience the no, and experience the learn. Give yourself permission to learn, not closing yourself off to the opportunities, but embracing the chaos to learn more about yourself and how you function. A high state of functionality in the chaos will teach you a lesson on how to embrace your intuition and to provide yourself with the next steps after you have learned the lesson through the chaos. Remember yourself and remember who you are, because sometimes you're going to have to stand in the gap. You're going to have to stand in your own gap and remind the who that you are. Y'all be blessed. And remember, there are lessons in chaos, but lessons in chaos will only be learned by those who are willing to learn and to change themselves after the chaos has been identified. Y'all be blessed. Peace.